issue, and why do you think it was, if so?
Yeah, it was an issue. Just simple communication is just calling the coverage, calling the direction soon enough for our guards to be able to react. And so, as we went back and watched it, and they did a great job of mixing up the screens. Sometimes they would set them, sometimes they wouldn't. They just kind of slip out of them, and so I think the hesitation a little bit is what caused the slowness in the communication.
Coach, in college basketball, everybody's better at home than they are on the road, and it's a small sample size for you guys. But do you feel like this team maybe has struggled more on the road than normal for you guys in this program?
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. I think, in both instances, both teams played really well. And it's always, tougher on the road. I think you're going to get a more juiced up crowd, more juiced up team. And that's regardless of who's coming to town in this league because it's so tough. And so I think for our team, it's a great learning experience, a great opportunity for us to kind of reflect on where we need to be better. And, and to do what we're trying to ultimately do, we're going to face a lot of tough environments, a lot of tough situations that we got to, be better in. And I think this is great preparation for it. But no, I don't think, just comparing this team to previous teams on the road, I don't think it's fair to this team.
How much easier is it to fix communication issues compared to other issues like rebounding issues and stuff like that? Is it an easier thing or is it just the same? What is that like?
Yeah, I don't. You would have to ask the guys from their standpoint how much easier it is. Obviously, from a coaching standpoint, we feel like it's an easy fix, and but it's more so. I wouldn't say necessarily the communication. It's the just recognizing what's going on and being able to process it first, and then after that, then you can communicate what's going on. And so I think that's something that can be fixed with more film and more reps in that particular in those particular situations.
Update on film yesterday. Just how did the guys respond to seeing what happened in Vandy, watching it back, seeing the mistakes, because y'all will see them again at least one more time. So what was that reaction like?
Yeah, the great thing about our guys is they hate to lose. This is the most competitive group of guys that I've been around, and so like even before the film starts, right after the game, like they're crushed, and because they put so much into it that they wanna win every game, and so it was good for them to see it. I know they wanted to see it, but they know what happened sooner than we know. Like they can feel it. They're out there. And they see it themselves, and so it's great about this group is the communication amongst each other in film. It's not just the coaching staff telling them what they did wrong. They see it. They're talking to each other. Hey, right here, you gotta call this out early. Hey, you box out here, and then I'll help you on this side. And so that's the great thing about this group of guys. And so film was great. It was great for all of us to kind of sit in there and have that open dialogue, those conversations about what it's going to take for us to, again, moving forward. We got another big game coming up tomorrow, and so like we got to be better in that game tomorrow than we were on Saturday.
What do you remember about those two matchups last year with Mississippi State?
Man, number 12 is really talented, can really score the basketball, and a big time shooter. And number 4 is. He is just kind of, he does everything. He can score it, he facilitates, he defends, big-time motor. Those two guys in particular are difference makers. And then they have a great group around them that buys into their role. I know they added a couple new faces, but it's going to be a tough game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. And, just like every game in this league, it's going to be one in the paint. It's going to be who can control the backboards, who can protect the paint, and then take care of the basketball.
I feel like like Felix has started to turn a corner these last handful of games?
Felix is playing really well. You know, he's playing really well. He's competing at a high level defensively, you know, first off, and just his effort on that side of the ball has been great. You know, he's making plays outside of his area. He's rebounding the basketball, and so you know, and he's starting to understand that he has to be dominant on that side. You know, anything else that comes is gravy, but you know, cleaning stuff up on that side of the ball is he's really locking into it. And you know, offensively, I mean, it's going to come. You know, I think we do a great job of spacing the floor. I think he does a good job of moving without the ball and finding those sweet spots and being able to play with Zakai on that penetration. But you know, yeah, we're very. I'm excited where Felix is right now, and he has more in the tank.
And I'm sorry about that, but
No, you're fine.
I know one guy I had to be hard on was Chaz. Obviously, that free throw didn't deter the outcome of the game, but just in front of his hometown. What was y'all's message of encouragement to him, and how has he responded to that?
You know, I know he was probably heard about it. You know, he as you know, not even just being in front of his home crowd, he had opportunity to tie the game up and send it in overtime. But you know, the message was clear. Like, that's not what lost the game for us, and by no means. There were plays throughout the entire game that we could have been better, that played as big of a part as that did, you know. So we were clear to make sure he understood that, his teammates understood that, and they did. Like, this is a group that's been in a lot of high-level games and that understand is 1-2 possessions, in the first half can determine the outcome of a game. And so I think Chaz is a resilient guy. He's tough. He understands it. I mean, we probably wish he had a moment back, but it is what it is, and you know, we move on and let it make us all better.
What does Zakai have to do to balance being aggressive but not fouling in order to stay on the floor and not miss the last 7 minutes of that first half?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because that's what makes him great, right? He's really he's aggressive, and you know, he's really disruptive, and that's what makes him who he is. That's what makes him one of the, you know, probably the best defensive point guard in the country. And so I think just being being mindful of, you know, when you do have one foul, don't you know, maybe you pull back a little bit, and just understand when you're closing out to shooters, you know, you just, you know, in those situations maybe flying by more so than, you know, that they can test high. But it's, you know, it's tough to say, and you know, each foul has been kind of different a little bit for him when he picks up that second one. But again, it's hard to tell him to not be who he is, you know. And so I think when it does happen, the guys around him got to be ready to pick it up and fill in for him, which we're capable of doing.
How hard is that decision as a coach to sit a player or to play a player based on who it is, the score in the context of the game with the two foul situation?
You know, we have our philosophy of you know, what we do in those situations. So you know, it's not really, you know, in the moment really hard to, you know, to debate. Like, we feel confident in every guy that's on that bench, you know, all 9 guys. And so if somebody gets in foul trouble, somebody gets hurt, next guy's ready to step up, and that's the role of the team to lift each other up. And so when one guy is out, the next guy and the team's gotta fill in that void.
Coach, conference play always a battle, but is even more like scoreboard watching this year in this league for you guys, just because of, you know, how competitive it is, how many good teams there are. I mean, you find yourselves, you know, after a game, you know, looking to see, you know, who did what and, you know, what the records are.
Yeah, it's a great league this year, man, and man, probably the best league I've ever been a part of. And you know, every game is competitive. Is you know, every game is unique, and there's so many different styles in this league that it is. It's fun to kind of sit back as a fan sometimes and just watch it when you're not preparing for your next game. But you know, for us, our total focus is in our locker room, and you know, how we're playing at the moment. Did we take care of business? You know, obviously after the game, you kind of scroll the scores and all of that, but doesn't really have an effect on or an impact on like how we approach things and how we do things. Like, you know, it is our goal to win the league, but we know you got to live in day-tight compartments and go game by game, day by day, and you know, win, lose, or draw that particular game. You know, you got to move on to your next opponent and try to get better. But it's an unbelievable league with great players, great coaches, and it's exciting. And I'm sure as a fan, like just being able to sit back and watch that, you know, night in and night out, having great games is probably fun.
What areas do you feel like Jordan can improve in while playing that point guard position when Zakai is out?
You know, I think, man, that's a good question. I hadn't really thought about that. I would say with Jordan, just, you know, the more reps he can get at it, you know, and just understanding the pace, you know, when to go fast, when to go slow, you know, and I think the more he does it, the you know, the more comfortable he'll get, and but I think more than anything, just the pace, you know, and bringing your own pace and not having to play at, you know, Zakai's pace is probably the biggest thing, you know, with him on that. But